What's up everyone, my name is Alpha and today we're back with another Pokemon challenge video. Today we're on Pokemon Sun and today's challenge we can beat Pokemon Sun Hardcore Nuzlocke using only shiny electric Pokemon. Surprisingly, I haven't done this typing for a Hardcore Nuzlocke just yet in Sun and Moon, and there's a reason why. It's pretty difficult. I failed this so many times at this point that I am actually kind of sad, but I finally have a good enough run to show you guys. Let's see if we can make it to the end. If you guys don't know what the rules said for these type of videos are, the rules are on screen right now. So essentially I can only catch one Pokemon per route, and they must be shiny and they must be an electric type. They can evolve into electric type. To make this run work, I actually count multiple Pokemons that aren't electric when I get them initially, but when I actually evolve them they'll become electric. So that's how the rules are gonna work. Also, each of my Pokemon only has one life, so if they ever faint they are gone, and I have to box them, which will keep track on the bottom left with a death counter. And as well, there's gonna be a level cap. There's no gyms in Sun and Moon, so we're gonna use level caps based on the highest level Kahuna fights. So the level caps can be based off that. And of course, the quintessential no items inside a battle, because hell items, and you have to play on set mode, so no switching out after defeating a Pokemon. So it's gonna be pretty difficult. Electric Pokemon are not regarded as the strongest Pokemon in the world, so it's gonna be difficult. We're gonna have one more rule. Each of my Pokemon will be nicknamed after you guys in comments. So thank you so much for leaving a nickname in my previous challenge video. If you guys want to be nicknamed after a future Pokemon, just drop in the comments and hopefully I'll pick yours. And while you're down there, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to my channel. It means a lot to me. Anyways, let's get into the challenge video itself. To begin off, there is no electric starter Pokemon, which is thankful because this cutscene takes forever. So we're gonna get ourselves a random starter Pokemon. We're gonna get ourselves a Litten, which actually gonna work out later on. But our first Pokemon is going to be in Route 1, and I'm searching in the wrong area. The only area you can find this specific Pokemon is going to be in these grass patches over here. And our first shiny Pokemon will be a shiny Grubbin. Now, Grubbin is actually just a bug type, so it's kind of embarrassing as our first Pokemon, but it's going to evolve into electric type eventually at level 20. But you know what? For now, it's going to count as we're going to use it as our first Pokemon in Route 1. And we have to bend the rules a little bit later, but we'll get back to it as we're gonna beat our rival, of course, and then use all our money for Pokeballs, because we don't want to miss out on any Pokemon. I've actually had a few attempts where I ran out of Pokeballs and I just kind of reset it off of that. But from there, we're gonna move out into the Pokemon School and also shiny hunt in here. The Pokemon School, I'm gonna count as a different route for this challenge video, just so I can get extra Pokemon, just because this challenge is really difficult. So the Pokemon School counts as a new encounter route, and we're gonna catch ourselves shiny Magnemite, which isn't too difficult. We're gonna add it to our team and then face off against the Pokemon School, which unfortunately we almost lose to. I was like, oh my god, this run is gonna be terrible because Meowth just keeps flinching me. Eventually we're able to beat it down and we're able to get through the Pokemon School, which is normally not difficult at all. From there, we're gonna move out into Howley City, and in the grass, in the patches here, we're able to find ourselves our next and final electric type Pokemon for the first island, which is gonna be a shiny Pichu. We're gonna catch it, add it to our team, and this thing evolves based on happiness, so we're gonna have to tinker a little bit, just allow ourselves to evolve it. So we're gonna evolve our Pichu legitimately, obviously, into a shiny Pikachu, which also has Nasty Plot and also Electro Ball. What a monster to begin with. But from there, we're gonna boom out and face off against the normal totem in the game. We're gonna face off against the totem Gumshoes with our Magnemite. Since we're a steel type, in the early game, steel types are really broken, as we're able to clear through the first totem without any problems at all. You know, as you see, just Thunder Shocks it down, and we're able to beat down the total Gumshoes, get our Z move, which we're gonna use. Do we even use Z moves like that? I think we used it once or twice, but we're not gonna use it too heavily. From there, we're gonna face off against the first Kahuna in the game. We're gonna face off against Hala. Hala is a fighting type Kahuna and is going to start the battle off against us using a Mankey. I use my Pikachu because I know Pikachu can do a lot of damage with Electro Ball, so I start the battle off against him using Charm just to lower his attack stat first, and it actually works out pretty well. Now I'm really hoping it doesn't use Focus Energy, obviously crit me and probably kill me, so I'm going to go for Nasty Plot as he just goes for Karate Chop, and it actually works out pretty well as I'm able to get 2 Nasty Plots up, and then it goes for a Focus Energy, and I'm like, I can't get crit. If I get crit, I'm going to go down, so I go for Electro Ball and one-shot the Mankey. Since my Pikachu is actually insanely fast, it could one-shot almost anything, so it has like 80 base power. And with the fake out, I was hoping for a static, but it activates my Citrus Berry, it gains a lot of HP back. I'm able to go for Electro Ball and knock out the Makuhita as well. And then from there, and his final Pokemon will be a Crab Brawler, and I was very scared this Electro Ball wasn't going to kill. but lucky enough it does enough damage and knocks out the crab brawler, and that's actually one of the hardest fights in the game. So lucky enough we don't lose a single. I was actually very prepared to lose my Pikachu there, so luckily for us that doesn't happen, as we're able to move out into the second island in the game, Akala Island, and we're able to evolve our Grubbin into a Charger Bug and get ourselves an electric type Pokemon actually. So from there we're gonna move out into Route 4, and in Route 4 we're able to shiny hunt out here for our next shiny Pokemon, which is gonna be a shiny Eevee. Now Eevee actually isn't obviously an electric type, but it evolves into Jolteon, so we're gonna catch Eevee, add it to our team, and just hold off on it as we're gonna move out and face up against the water totem. You could probably tell this isn't the hardest totem in the world, so we're able to one-shot basically the Wishy-Washy and also the other Wishy-Washy as we're able to clear through the water totem and also get the fishing rod, which can be useful later on. Now moving on to the second most annoying trial in the game, we're going to face up against a fire trial, which unfortunately means we have to face a trainer and also wild Pokemon, and a lot of our Pokemon cannot take a hit, so unfortunately the fire types in here are going to be a little more dangerous. And unfortunately for us, this Magmar does a lot of damage to me, activates my berry midway through, so unfortunately I am going into this totem fight at half HP, so that's really annoying. I'm gonna face up against the totem Salazzle. I don't have Thunder Wave for anything against the Salazzle, and most of my team is pretty weak against fire types. So I decided to go for a Nuzlocke in front of the Salazzle and then go for an Electric Ball, and it does do a lot of damage, but unfortunately it's going to Venom Drench me, and also the Selena goes for Venom Shock, and it's going to kill me. So my Pikachu goes down, which I kind of assume was going to happen, but at this point I'm very scared of what's going to come. So I go out to my Magnemite. I think it has 30, I'm not too sure, but I'm able to go for a Thunder Wave, and I live a Flame Burst, and I'm able to paralyze it, and the Selena doesn't actually go for a move, so it goes for a taunt, allowing my Magnemite to survive, which is actually a godsend. So I'm gonna switch out into my Eevee after that, bite down and quick attack to knock out the Salazzle, as we're able to barely beat down the fire totem. And yeah, that was very lucky that we did not lose any more Pokemon after Pikachu. So we're able to clear through that, and now from there we can move on into Route 8. And now in Route 8 on Tuesdays, I believe, Tuesdays or Thursdays, if you have enough island scans, as you can see I'm just prepping, you have enough island scans, you go into Route 8 and you can find yourselves a Luxio. So Luxio is an island scan and is also an electric type Pokemon, so we're gonna go for an island scan and we're gonna start shiny hunting for Luxios. And we're able to find ourselves a shiny Luxio pretty easy, and also it has Intimidate, which is gonna be the best ability in the game for us. So everything works out as we're able to catch ourselves a Luxio, add it to our team, and move out into the worst totem in my opinion now, the grass totem, because this thing is so painful. So I start the battle off against him using my Magnemite, because I know this thing can take a hit and also paralyze the Lurantis, which works. It goes for a SOS on the Trumbeak, so you know what, I go out to my Luxio, lower the attack stat, switch in between, and for the next 10 minutes I switch in between my Pokemon because my Magnemite firstly cannot get a Thunder Wave off against the Trumbeak for some reason. It keeps missing, and Trumbeak never misses its Supersonic, so I'm unable to do any more damage against them. But they don't do any damage against me, but they chip away at me, so it's actually kind of adding up. It's really annoying, but eventually we're able to break through all of it. Charge Bug's able to knock out the Lurantis for us, and we're able to clear through the grass totem, but it's just super annoying. This is like the condensed version of what happened, but we're able to just barely beat down the grass trial. And now from there we're able to move out into the Akala outskirts, and in this specific area we're able to fish in this bubbling water, and with a 20% chance we're able to encounter a Chinchou. Now Chinchou's, it's actually kind of cute. As you see, we found ourselves a shiny Chinchou, and it's very cute looking. It's also an electric type, and also evolves pretty early, so we're able to catch the Chinchou, evolve it, and then face off against Olivia, which is going to be the second Kahuna in the game. We're going to start the battle off against Olivia using my Lantern, which I don't have the picture for, so that's kind of annoying. Mess up by me, but I'm able to go for a bunch of stockpiles to boost my defenses, physical and special defenses, against her Nose Pass, as we're able to burn it with Scald. And then from there we're able to scald down the Boldore and also burn it to one-shot it. And at this point, since I'm +3 on physical defense, her Lycanroc isn't a scare at all, as it goes for a Z move and does barely any damage against me, as I'm able to go for a Scald and two-shot it, as we're able to beat down Olivia and clear through Olivia. Now with Olivia beat, obviously jump the level cap to 39, evolve multiple Pokemon, so Magnemite goes into Magneton. We could also put an Eviolite on it, and also my Luxio into a Luxray. Super nice. So yeah, it's pretty good that we're finally able to go past 30s. And from there, we're going to face off against the Electric Trial in the game. This thing's not too difficult at all since we have a lantern with Volt Absorb, which I think it's actually beneficial to have it. I normally recommend having Water Absorb, but Volt Absorb is pretty decent, so we're able to clear through the electric trial pretty nicely, and then from there we're able to go out into Blush Mountain, also Route 14. So firstly in Route 14 we're able to go out and search out for our next Pokemon. We really want an Elekid here, so of course we don't get Elekid. We get ourselves a shiny Geodude, which is electric and rock type in this game, so we're gonna catch it, add it to our team. Fortunately, we have another chance of getting Elekid, but unfortunately that means we could only get Elekid or Togedemaru, and unfortunately we get ourselves an Elekid. Well, actually fortunately, because Elekid's way better, but I kind of wish I got Togedemaru and also Elekid instead of Graveler. But anyways, I'm gonna have to find a way to really make Graveler or a Alolan Golem working, since I evolved it. I've also evolved my Elekid all the way into Electivire, so it's going to be pretty interesting when I use it. But from there we're going to move out into the Ghost Trial in the game. We're going to face up against the Totem Mimikyu, and we're actually decently equipped for it since I kind of know the tech now. All you want to do is just lower its attack state and switch out. I switch out to my Magneton and then just one-shot it with Flash Cannon. So we're able to beat down a Mimikyu pretty easily, and from there we're going to beat down a Haunter, and there is no issues in between that. So we're able to clear through the Ghost Trial and now move on and face off against Guzma for the first time. We're able to clear through Guzma pretty easily since our Pokemon are pretty strong. Our Electivire is going to be on a team, as Charger Bug's going to be in the PC now. It's definitely not that good, especially when it's not fully evolved. And from there we're going to face up against Nanu next. Nanu's giving me the Dark type Kahuna in the game. We're going to start the battle off against him using my Electivire. Electivire is able to get a Thunder Wave off against a Sableye, and I'm going to take a Shadow Ball, but that's fine. As I'm able to switch out into my Lantern, I'm able to go for stockpiles to boost my defenses, because this thing does have a Krokorok in the back and it has Earthquake, so we're going to have to boost ourselves. Lucky enough, we get a bunch of boosts and we're able to knock out the Sableye as well. From there, he's going to switch out into obviously his Krokorok, and he goes for a Swagger instead of Earthquake, and I'm like, okay, interesting. Skull one-shots it, so it works out for us anyway. From there, Nanu's going to switch out into his Alolan Persian, as I'm still in with my Lantern, hoping I don't hit myself, which actually doesn't really matter, as I'm able to survive most hits, and I snap out of Confusion on the second turn, discharge again, and I'm able to knock out the Alolan Persian. As we're ready to beat down Nanu, and yeah, a little scary, but yeah, there's going to be ground-type Pokemons where we're going to have to struggle with coming up. But from there, we're going to face off against Guzma in our final interaction in the Aether Foundation, I believe, as we're able to clear through Guzma pretty easily, and also face up against Lusamine for the first time, which isn't too difficult at all. We're able to clear through her, and now we head into the final portion of the game. We've head into the vast Pony Canyon, which we're able to evolve our Magnemite. I know I could evolve it in the Blush Mountain, but it actually wasn't working for me for some reason. But we're able to evolve it into a Magnezone and also my Charge Bug into a Vigavolt. I thought you could evolve it at Blush. Am I wrong? Blush Mountain's supposed to be like allowing me to evolve these two Pokemon, but it actually didn't. So that's a little weird. We're able to fully evolve them finally and face off against Hapu. Now you guys might think this is cheating or not, but I did make a copy of my game save, and then I made an exact copy of this, flipped it into another ROM. Okay, so I had multiple tries to see what will work, because I know this thing was going to take multiple attempts. I'm not going to restart the game, so I didn't die in my save, blackout in my save, but I did make a copy of the save, duplicate it. I did a few trials to see what will work and what can I do to actually win. So that's how I found out the strategy to beat Hapu. I did simulations on a separate ROM, not this ROM, so you might think that's cheating, but I'm not going to reset, especially if I went this far in a run. But anyways, we're going to actually switch in between our Pokemons, as you can see. Now the reason for this, we load the attack stat of Dugtrio and also waste its Earthquake. Now once the Sandstorm goes down, it actually forces itself to use Sandstorm once again, so it allows us to go for a Brick Break. So that's a free KO. We're going to knock out the Dugtrio, which is nice. Her next Pokemon will be her Mudsdale, and that will bait in the Z move immediately. So we're going to waste her Z move obviously, and for the next 10, actually not 10 turns, for the next 20 turns, we're going to switch in between my Vigavolt and also my Luxray to lower its attack stat and then drain its PP on Earthquakes. And in between all that, we're lowering its attack stat, so it's going to get weaker each time. And eventually, once we're at 0 with the Mudsdale, so it has 0 Earthquakes and also -6 attack, we're able to go out to my Lantern. Yes, Lantern is always the go-to Pokemon. Lantern is going to set up stockpiles in front of them. And from there, we're able to get +3 on both physical and special defenses, which is very important. From there, we're able to go out and go for Scalds against the Mudsdale, eventually knocking him out, which is very nice. From there, once we're able to knock out the Mudsdale, her next Pokemon will be a Flygon. And her Flygon will go for Earth Powers, and it could still kill me. If it crits or anything, it could still kill me. So I have to go for an immediate Blizzard to knock out the Flygon. So Flygon needs to go down to a Blizzard. I have to land it, essentially, and it cannot crit with an Earth Power. And from there, we're able to beat down a Flygon, and it should be easy sailing, as her final Pokemon will be a Gastrodon, but this thing does not have Water Absorb, so we're able to go for, oh my god, it almost one-shot me. Almost knocked me out with a Mud Bomb. You can see how dangerous this tech is. It was the worst. But I am able to scald it, burn it, eventually knock out the Gastrodon. It goes for a few recovers, super annoying, but we're able to beat down the Gastrodon and beat down Hapu. Again, you guys might think it's cheating. I don't think so. So I'm definitely not going to sit through that and just hope I could figure out the solution on my first try. Anyways, from there we're going to face off against the final totem in the game. We're going to face off against the Komo, which isn't too difficult. We actually almost lose our Pokemon here. As you can see, this random Scizor that he spawned in just kept going for Leers and lowers my attack stat. Eventually I'm at 1 HP and it goes for Leer once more time, and I was hoping it doesn't have Pursuit, so I got to switch out into my Magnet Zone. It works out, and we're able to clear through the Dragon Totem without losing a single Pokemon. From there, we're going to face off against Lucamine, which isn't too difficult of a fight. We're going to start the battle off against her using my Electivire. Her Clefable is kind of strong, but lucky enough, it doesn't go for Moonblast, as we're able to beat him down pretty easily. From there, her next Pokemon will be a Lilligant, and her Lilligant's actually dangerously strong. It goes for Petal Dance and almost knocks on my Vigavolt from full HP. Super annoying Pokemon. But from there, the last Pokemon that was really dangerous was the Milotic, and you'd be surprised, this Milotic Flail actually does a lot of damage for some reason. Look at this, almost knocks out my poor Lantern. Oh my god, I gotta switch out. So I gotta switch out to my Luxray, eventually knock out the Milotic, and yeah, that could've went bad. But we beat down Lucamine, and now we can move on. Face up against Gladion, which not important to the story at all. We have to clear through Gladion pretty easily, and then we're able to go into the Pokemon Center, relearn some moves, beat Howl, and move out into the Pokemon League itself. Now, the first battle in the Pokemon League, we're going to face off against Hala. Hala's giving me the fighting type Elite Four member of the game. We're going to start the battle off against him using my Luxray. Now, Luxray is going to go for Intimidate, obviously, and then switch out into the Vigavolt, take the close combat, and then two-shot with Thunderbolt. Works out pretty well. From there, he's going to switch out into his Primate, and I'm like, hopefully he doesn't go for anything crazy. He goes for Outrage. I'm like, okay, I go for Thunderbolt and paralyze him. Works out. Since he's stuck in Outrage, I'm able to knock him out. So Vigavolt gets 2 KOs. I also get my Pokemon up to like right next to 56, so you know what, crossing the barriers already. The next Pokemon on his team will be a Crabominable, which I go out to my Luxray, hoping it goes for a Z-move since I could take it with an attack drop. He does not, so yeah, from there I cannot lose my Luxray, so I gotta switch out into my Lantern. Now he goes for a Z-move. Of course he goes for a Z-move now. I don't take it well, but the Wiki Berry that I have on my Lantern will regain his HP to about full, and then from there I can Scald into him and eventually knock out the Crabominable with 2 Scalds. His next Pokemon will be a Beware, which I'm like, well, this thing could actually just beat me right now. So I go out to my Luxray till it lowers attack stat, hoping it doesn't kill me, but it switches out into his Poliwrath, and I'm like, well, that was a waste of time. Could have just killed it. From there, I go out to my Electivire, I go for Thunder Punches against them, and eventually I'm able to knock out the Poliwrath with my Electivire. Because of that, I am kind of forced to stay in against the Beware. I'm really hoping Thunder Wave will paralyze it. It does not. Hammer will one-shot, unfortunately, my Electivire from that HP. So from there, I gotta switch out into my Magnet Zone, and in Magnet Zone, I can live an attack, and 2 discharges would knock out the Beware, as you can see, as we're able to beat down Hala, and you lose a Pokemon already. So we got 2 deaths on a death counter, which is fine. From there, I'm going to go out and face off against Olivia next. Olivia's giving me the Rock-type Elite Four member of the game. We're going to start the battle off against her using my Vigavolt. And Vigavolt, unfortunately, this is not a good play. This thing has Ancient Power and outspeeds me. So Vigavolt is terrible. But lucky enough, Thunderbolt will knock it out in one shot as it goes for Yawn. From there, she's going to switch out into her Lightning Rock, which I go out into my Magnet Zone. And Magnet Zone takes this very easily, and this thing does not have any moves to really counter against me, so I go for a Flash Cannon and eventually 2-shot into him to knock out the Lightning Rock. Oh wait, I didn't even stay in. I switched out into my Luxray for some reason to lower his attack stat, and then it goes for 4 restores. I go for a Thundu. Then I switch out into my Lantern, and then Lantern will start slowly boosting up against him. Skull would actually do a lot of damage against him. I just want to get some HP back as well. Keep myself healthy as we're able to knock out the Lightning Rock. This was actually a great play. It's going to force out Olivia's Probopass, and I'm able to go for Scalds again. Wow, this thing did no damage. But with the stockpile up and Lantern just naturally bulky, I'm able to 3-shot into the Probopass, as it's going to just barely survive as I get a burn on it and then barely live. and an Earthquake, get my Wiki Berry once again, and then Burn would knock him out, which is very nice. Her next Pokemon will be a Carbink, which actually has no ground moves. So I go out to my Magnezone. Magnezone is able to go for a Flash Cannon. It's 4 times weak to him, but my special attack dropped in between the fight, so that's unfortunate. As we're ready to 2-shot into the Carbink. Now her next Pokemon and her final Pokemon will be an Alola Golem, which I go out to my Lantern, take the Thunder Punch, regain some HP, and then from there I could Scald into him and to knock him out in 2 shots. And from there we're able to beat down Olivia pretty easily, pretty convincingly. And then from there we're able to face off against Accelera. Accelera is going to be the Ghost type Leaf Form member in the game. We're able to start the battle off against her using my Vigavolt once again. Vigavolt is a pretty good starting Pokemon. We're going to go for a Thunderbolt against her Sableye, and it never didn't use Fake Out. I honestly thought it always goes for Fake Out, but Thunderbolt is able to one-shot it, which is very nice. Now I taught this thing Thunder for this purpose because Frostlass is a scary Pokemon. So I go for a Thunder hoping it kills, and from the calcs it does seem like it kills. I break through confusion. I'm able to knock out the Frostlass with a Thunder. Unfortunately her next Pokemon will be a Palossand. I'm like, okay, this is gonna be a bit of an issue. I can't really switch out into anything because it hits ground types, and also it's getting Z-move me. So I switch out into my Alolan Golem, and unfortunately it does a lot of damage with Shadow Ball, so I gotta switch out into my Vigavolt. I'm able to at least dodge the ground move, and then from there I'm gonna go for a Bug Buzz, hoping for a defense drop. It goes for Shadow Ball, and at this point I maybe could have switched out to my other Pokemon, but I just stated I'm just gonna sag my Vigavolt just to play it safe, because I don't want to deal with the Z move potentially killing something. So I go out to my Lantern, and Lantern is able to Scald and knock out the Palossand, fortunately sacking my Vigavolt in the process. And then from there she can switch out into her Delmise. I go out to my Luxray. Luxray is able to do some nice damage and just knock out Delmise. Her final Pokemon will be a Drifblim, which unfortunately hits me with Omnis Wind and almost kills me. It also gets all its stats boosted up, and I'm like, that's really not fair. So I go out into my Magnezone next. Magnezone is able to at least go for a few discharges, and I go for Miracle at one point, and I'm like, wow, I'm really throwing. So hopefully I can actually knock this thing out. I'm going to go for a Thunder Wave and then discharge to 2-shot it, and lucky enough I'm able to knock out the Drifblim this way and not go for any fancy stuff with Miracle. So we're ready to beat down Accelera, and now we're going to move out into the final Leaf Form member in the game. We're going to face off against Kahili. Kahili is going to start the battle off against us using a Skarmory. I start the battle off against her using my Luxray. Luxray was not the best choice, but I'm going to 2-shot the Skarmory with Thunder Fangs. Unfortunately, it sets up a bunch of hazards in between that. Her next Pokemon will be an Oricorio, which I go for a Thunder Wave as it goes for a Feather Dance. I'd still 2-shot it, so you know what? I'll definitely take that. Let's ready to beat down the Oricorio. Her next Pokemon will be a Crobat, which I'm kind of scared of, because it could do a lot of damage. It goes for Confuse Ray as I switch out to my Lantern, and then from there I'm going to get a few stockpiles up as it poisons me with Poison Fang, and I believe that it's actually badly poisoned with Poison Fang, so kind of bad. I'm unable to knock out the Crobat as I switched out because Lantern is kind of my strongest Pokemon. I go out to my Magnezone, and Magnezone is able to at least knock out the Crobat for us. Her next Pokemon will be a Mana Buzz, which I go for a Thunderbolt and survive a Bone Rush actually pretty convincingly. Luckily enough, it does not go for 5 hits, or that could have been really bad. But discharge, knock out the Mana Buzz, and from there her next Pokemon will be a Toucannon, which I switched out into my Alolan Golem, and this is the only time Alolan Golem has been actually super useful. It actually absorbs the Supersonic Sky Strike very easily, and I could go for a Rock Blast against him. It goes for a Screech, which, you know what, might be really been scary if it had Bullet Seed, but we're able to Rock Blast into her and knock out the Toucannon, and we're able to beat down Kahili. Now, after this fight, I'm immediately gonna obviously recover my Pokemon and also teach my Pokemon Toxic, because I feel like Toxic is gonna be very important in this final fight. So yeah, just gotta be very careful. From there, we're gonna face off against the champion of the game, Professor Kukui. Professor Kukui is gonna start the battle off against us using Lycanroc. As I start the battle off against him using obviously my trusty Lantern, Lantern is able to Scald into the Lycanroc and knock him out in one shot, which is very nice. His next Pokemon will be a Snorlax, which I'm like, you know what, Scald, hopefully for a burn. And it gets a crit and burn in one turn. And Lantern is so tanky, it would have survived a high horsepower pretty nicely. And I'm very just fishing for the burn. I was going to keep going until I get a burn, because with the burn, I'm able to stockpile up against the Snorlax, take a high horsepower, and also Aqua Ring myself. And unfortunately, maybe I could have switched in between my Luxray if I didn't get the hazard set up. But with Stealth Rocks up, it's not worth it. I'm able to waste all its PP on high horsepower. I'm able to regain my HP in the middle of that. I'm going to waste some turns using Stockpile. And from there, hopefully it doesn't actually lower my defense with Crunch. Could be annoying, but I could regain a stat boost with Stockpile. And from there, I'm able to just chip down the Snorlax. Very long fight. I'm able to eventually knock out the Snorlax with the burn. And then from there, he's going to switch out into Supreme Arena. But unfortunately, I missed my Thunder on the first attack. It goes for a Moonblast against me. And I'm able to survive it pretty nicely. The next Thunder will hit it. And then she goes for another Moonblast. I activate my third Wiki Berry, which gets my HP all the way up. And then go for a Thunder to knock out the Supreme Arena. His next Pokemon after that will be a Magnezone, which I'm able to go for a Scald. I was thinking it works out nicely for me because it's electric type, so electric and steel type is not going to do too much against me, but I got a burn, so now I'm not going to actually waste some time using any special move at all. I'm just going to waste his HP, get my HP back up with Aqua Ring, and also it used Thunderbolt for some reason to regain my HP, so we're able to actually stall out the Magnezone and also knock out the Magnezone eventually. We fall into the Mirror Coat once again as it just randomly uses Mirror Coat, so lost all my progress with that, but eventually we're able to knock out the Magnezone. From there, Professor Kokoyo only has 2 more Pokemon. His next Pokemon will be a Ninetales. I'm like, let me go for a few Skulls. 2 Skulls knock him down to low HP. And at this point, I thought Professor Kokoyo used all his healing items. Of course, he whipped out another one and used it on his Ninetales, but I still have enough HP to knock him out. So I'm able to just chip down the Ninetales. Slowly but surely, we're able to knock out the Ninetales, and his final Pokemon will be a Braviary, which actually, it didn't cross my mind that it could have gone to this and whirlwind me out a long time ago, and probably just beat me a long time ago, as he's going to whirlwind me out into my Golem, and I'm able to do some chip damage. He whirlwinds me out once again into my Magnezone, and I'm able to Thunder and knock him out. So that entire fight thrown by him because he didn't go out to his bird and whirlwind me for some reason. So we're actually very thankful to Professor Kokoyo for not doing that, as we're able to beat down Pokemon Sun Hardcore Nuzlocke using only electric type Pokemon. Now if you guys want to consider it's a cheated run, that's okay with me, because you know what, I count it as a completed run. Absolutely one of my biggest accomplishments, beating Hapu like that, and using Lantern, because Lantern's like pretty underrated. I'm actually very glad and happy to use Lantern and show off its capabilities. Like, it's pretty much carried me through the entire game. Obviously Luxray helped a lot with Intimidate and also Magnezone and everyone else on my team. I kind of forgot about Jolteon, I'm not gonna lie, because Jolteon really has a lot of limited utility. But yeah, it was pretty fun to do. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. If you guys can, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. It means a lot to me. Anyways, my name's Alpha, and I hope you guys all have a great day, and I'm out. Peace.